So, yeah, I mean, you look at, like, mock drafts right now. This draft is, like, you can tell by the way mock drafts are that the top 4 or 5 corners people are having a hard time coming to consensus. You know, and I've talked about this, the consensus has changed with the corners. I mean, at one point, Kool-Aid was a consensus number 1 corner. I know that seems like a long time ago. That was obviously last year around this time when we were looking at early rankings for this year's draft. But, like, also, it was kind of like almost before the combine, there was still a lot of people that thought Kool-Aid was the number 1 corner. Now, is he corner 4? Is he corner 5? Is Arnold the number 1 corner? You know, it's interesting. You see, yeah, I think that that's a problem with draft rankings, because people, like, when people rank guys based on their position and then they go to the NFL, say if you rank corners and you have, I don't know, let's say you have Terrion Arnold, your number 1 corner, and then you see a mock draft him going 3rd or 4th, you're like, what the heck? And then you almost get upset, and then it starts kind of I don't know, you almost kind of like get annoyed with mock drafts. I think that's why I don't look at them as much, because it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It's just like everyone's got different rankings, and everyone has kind of, and then mock drafts are just kind of like a gauge of where, a combination of someone's personal rankings and what they think the team will do. So I think that's the problem with mock drafts, even though a lot of it is predicated on, where they personally rank the players, but a lot of it's what they think the team will do, and some of it's connections with teams of what they think, or of what they're hearing the team might do. So that's the thing. Like, a lot of people, if you have Terrion Arnold, your number 1 corner, and then you see him going like the 3rd or 4th corner overall, you kind of get confused. Like, what the heck? Why is he, falling to the end of the first round? Why is he the 3rd corner in this mock draft? So I think, when you look at mock drafts, or when you have rankings, you look at mock drafts, I guess the point is you can get slightly annoyed, you can get slightly confused, and you can really kind of get a gauge of why people have a hard time coming to the consensus rankings of players. Like Chris Jenkins from Michigan is a guy I've seen all over the place. I don't even see him in a lot of first round mocks. Some people had him talked about as the number 1 D tackle. Now a lot of people have the number 1 D tackle as Jerzon Newton from Illinois. I guess Newton was seen most. I guess some people did have Newton as the number 1 D tackle. Some people I saw him a lot of rank like 2, 3 before the season, then as the season went on. So, but yeah, Chris Jenkins is the guy to watch, because Chris Jenkins maybe didn't have his best year this year at Michigan. Mason Graham's another guy who'll be draft eligible at Michigan that kind of stole the shine, but Chris Jenkins is a really good player nonetheless. And Jerzon Newton, then Byron Murphy from Texas. I haven't watched his tape, but he's a guy that has really rised up, really improved his status, and really was a part of a guy that was on a Texas team that really did a lot of nice things, a Texas defense that really improved. So, yeah, keep an eye on Byron Murphy, defensive tackle out of Texas. Keep an eye on Jerzon Newton as well, the defensive tackle from Illinois, a guy that's kind of been a staple as far as you talk about a guy that maybe isn't in the class of Marvin Harrison, Brock Bowers, Malik Neighbors, but a guy that was ranked highly coming into this season and has done a good job of keeping his draft stock high and staying consistently as one of either the first defensive tackle and the second defensive tackle, where he's ranked amongst people in, the first or second defensive tackle, usually off the board in mock drafts. But yeah, I really like Newton's game. It's been a while since I watched. He's an athletic guy. He's a guy that, moves very well for how big he is. Where he goes, that's certainly a question. I know that you can argue that's a question for a lot of guys, but like, he's a guy where it's like, every team, I guess the point with Newton is every team really needs a defensive tackle. Or, every team could use a defensive tackle. The defensive tackle is a position, at least finding a good one is hard to do in the NFL. You see why guys like Dexter Lawrence, you see why some of the top guys, Aaron Donald before he retired, you see why some of these top defensive tackles get paid what they do, because it's a position that just is so valuable in the NFL, and finding a really good one is hard. And I think, do I see Newton becoming a really good defensive tackle? To be honest, I actually do. I do think he could become a really good defensive tackle. Will he be is the question. I think I think there certainly is a big question surrounding how good Jerzon Newton will be, just because, you know, if a lot of NFL evaluators believed he was that good, I think you'd be seeing him mocked more in the top 5, top 10. You still see like mock drafts of him going top 15, top 20 range. But yeah, I guess the bottom line with Jerzon Newton, big athletic guy, could possibly go top 10, most likely would go top 15, top 20 range, maybe top 25. So yeah, Jerzon Newton, one of the top defensive tackles. Yeah, offensive tackles. Jordan Morgan's a guy I like from Arizona. Been a while since I watched his tape. He's another offensive tackle. Like Joel, like Olo Fosino. So yeah, pretty good offensive line group, I would say. Linebacker, I think, is a group that's lacking. I talked about Junior Colson's a guy I like out of Michigan. So yeah, linebacker, not a strong linebacker group, unfortunately. But yeah, it seems like I think the last couple classes are really, to find a really good elite linebacker, I think is tough. But yeah, I mean, and then the safety class lacking a little bit. I like, I think Bullard from Georgia, I think he's going to find a role in the NFL. I think he'll be a nice player. But yeah, not a super strong class. Bullard, kind of one of those guys, can kind of be that nickel safety corner guy that'll hit. He's really, not shy of contact, make tackles. Guy that just, I think he'll be a really good football player. I don't know. Do I think this is a guy? I didn't think he's going to become, Earl Thomas, like an elite safety. Probably not, but I think he'll be a really good player in the NFL. So yeah.